Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you. And today, my good friend Drew Harris and I, we are very happy, very excited because we have a special guest, Kathleen Heitmann, who's joining us today. She's a Chicago-based artist here within the area of Chicago. She's also a member of our program, the Artist Next Level. She's a fantastic, wonderful artist, a painter. She has gone through really a great year so far in 2023, and as we get into the last quarter, she's also kind of looking at what is next in her art career. And I think it's a question that a lot of us kind of go through as we progress through the year. Like you look back and say, okay, I think I did all my goals that I had, so what's next? So I think we're going to have a really great chat about the trajectory of an artist, and it's going to be great.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Kathleen, welcome to the show. Good to see you. How are you today?
Thank you very much. I'm honored, and it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Well,
You're doing very well today. Very well
thank
today.
You.
As I
thank
said
you for
earlier, the cicadas are out, and it's a wonderful fall evening. Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Drew? How are you today?
I'm very well. It's just starting my day here in the morning here in Kuala Lumpur, and I'm really happy to be with you guys as always, and to talk to new artists and to yourself, Sergio, of course. Also,
and Drew,
yes,
actually, Drew, it's been quite a while since we did our last episode. I was under the weather for a little bit, and we had to skip a couple of weeks. But we actually were going to do this interview before, but we had to postpone it. And now we are here, and actually, I'm so happy that we moved it. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Today I feel great.
Yes.
I have a lot of great ideas, and Kathleen looks great, and she's full of energy today, and I think it's gonna be good.
You are the color between us. Look at
that. Exactly. Well, Kathleen, as we start this conversation and we go into the journey of art, tell us a little bit about your own journey, because I know it's also very unique in particular. How did you became an artist, or how did you start that process for you in your career? If you can tell us a little bit in a few words, kind of like that beginning Genesis story.
Okay. I actually, my daughter was going to be going to Oregon, and I was in Boulder at the time. And I had already followed her from Chicago because she was going to college in Colorado. So when she told me she was going to be moving to do her master's in Oregon, I kind of freaked out. And I was just like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? And so every day I would go to the lake and I would pray. And I would ask God, please put a passion in my heart because my baby's leaving. And I was quite depressed for a long time. And just every day saying, I have to do something that's at home. My animals are, getting older, and I want something that will make me happy, but make others happy. And I promise I won't question it. And after about a year and a half, I turned on the television, and I never watched the Golden Globes, and they were on. And Meryl Streep was on, and she quoted Carrie Fisher. And she said, take your broken heart and turn it into art. And I swear to God, she was talking to me. And then I heard paint in this beautiful angelic whisper.
Wow.
The next morning, I went to the art store and I bought a canvas, paints. I knew about watercolors. I really had never painted before. And I promised him that I wouldn't question, it. I dabbled in it, didn't really do much. I'm very artistic, but I never really painted before. And so I just started painting, started to put it on Facebook. People were saying, can I buy that? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Wasn't really serious though until last year and a half.
Yeah.
Really serious about a career. So that's
Wonderful.
And that is quite a story, and that's why I wanted to start there, right? There are many artists who they say, well, since I was a kid, or I saw my grandma was an artist and I always wanted to become an artist. So everybody has a different journey, and I love how your journey also becomes kind of this artist, after your daughter leaves home, right? And all of a sudden, like, you have this gap. And I'm a little bit in that space right now because we just wrapped up my daughter to college last week, and although my son is still here, but my daughter, it feels, I, I walk into her room, it's like, oh, she's not here,
I
so there's
know
like an emptiness, like, right?
it's a big emptiness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
but how you turn that into art, that's what's really, really fascinating to me. And to the point to say, I'm going to do it. And that, because here's another thing. And that's why I wanted to have you here, because that takes guts to also say, I have never done it before and I'm going to do it. It's
Well, it takes faith.
faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guts.
You know?
I would say
Yeah,
both.
and guts. I don't
Takes
know.
faith to do it, but it takes guts to share it with the world.
You know what, though? I think and all my life I've heard messages.
Mm.
So when I followed them, things have happened. So I was all right with that, and I knew I would be guided. I knew I would be guided. I was flowing. I was painting 2 to 3 paintings a day. I couldn't stop. I still can't stop. So I know that it's not of me.
Yeah, something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I love that. I was going to ask you about that Meryl Streep scenario.
Yeah.
Hasn't she had a lot of effect on all of us over the years?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, this is an interesting thing because we often talk about this. I think people, in general, see this concept of being sort of driven by faith or something, someone speaks to you personally, and you go off and do these new creative endeavors. And I think a lot of people will just say, yes, sure. But it does happen. And I've talked to a lot of artists. We all have over the years. And I see this as a common theme, particularly with artists that are starting their careers later in life.
Yeah.
It's usually through the adversity of, either sickness or losing someone, or seeing a daughter go off to university, that kind of thing. It's a one of those situations where I think you are then much more open to the energy.
We are.
Whether you get it through
100%, yes.
through faith or through desperation.
Desperation. Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and
I mean,
I think you're a good example of.
I was pleading.
Yeah. Well, if you ask, it will be given.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always a believer in, at times, we've all had our desperate moments, and and people have said, just throw it out to the universe, and hopefully it will get back. In your case, clearly it did. In some cases, for me personally, I know, and for Sergio, I think, those moments when we really need it and we throw it out and just say, okay, show me what you got. And that's where it starts. Definitely.
And you said something also quite interesting. You said that you were creative. You always had like this creative life. So, this idea of becoming an artist, it was not really so foreign in a way that probably already fitted your personality. Probably, the artist was already living in you. You were wired with this artist within you, but really hadn't found the outlet to actually, or permission. I don't know.
Exactly. When I was 9 years old, I had 5 things I wanted to be.
Okay.
I wanted to be a nun, have 5 kids. I love that one. Be a doctor, a veterinarian, and I wanted to be an artist.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty good 5
And
choices.
Teacher. There was a teacher in there with all that, but it was, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you not see that all of those have come true in many ways?
All of those, in one way or another, they have definitely come true. But that's, I think it was Steve Jobs or somebody said that if you connect the dots in your life backwards, there's your life tracking. There's your life tracking right there.
Sure. Yeah.
So yes, I can do that.
And Kathleen, I don't know if you have you heard of the artist Matt Lamb? So Matt Lamb, you have to look at him. He now passed away. He's a Chicago-based artist who became an artist later in life. He had a really I don't know if it was a disease or an accident of some sort, or like life-changing, circumstance, and which when he came back out of that, he said, "I'm gonna dedicate my life to be an artist." And he was a man of faith, and his business in the past was he comes from a family whose business was in the funeral home business, some of the biggest funeral homes here in Chicago. And he became an artist, way later in life. His name is Matt Lamb. He became an international success. He even his work is at the Vatican Museum and many museums around the world. He just could not stop painting. And you have to look at his work. He did some giant, enormous pieces. Some of them here in Chicago. I met him. Had the opportunity to meet him also as an art student. And then last year I had the opportunity to interview his daughter. She wrote a book recently. It's really, really great. And I think you will find that story inspirational. Lamb, L-A-M-B. Okay. Matt Lamb, M-A-T-T-L-A-M-B. And you will find that story to be quite inspirational. His work actually inspired me, and I saw it, and impacted me as an artist when I was young, just as Drew's work also impacted me. It was around the same time that I saw Drew's work for the first time, in my 20s. When I didn't meet Drew, but I saw his work, that I also saw Matt Lamb, because they were kind of showing in similar galleries in River North here in Chicago. And I usually will go to a gallery and to see Matt Lamb's work. But I think you will find that quite inspirational too, because of your trajectory as an artist, and then his trajectory and what he did for the arts. It's just remarkable. And he opened up a lot of opportunities for other artists who, who said, what, this is what I want to do, and who's going to stop me?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, true. Well, I'm always keenly interested in people's, the development in their careers have come from that one inspiration. They come in and they say, I need to paint, or I need to do something. And then you hit that second part of that journey, and you say, well, I've got the passion, I've got the materials, I've got the wherewithal to paint. Now I have to really perfect what I do, perfect my style and stuff. Tell us a bit about, did you go back into sort of a retraining, with specific artists, something in mind? You are abstract. That's what I'm seeing of your work.
Because I've been doing a lot of abstracts because of my last show. But I do a little bit of everything. And that I started off with as an abstract artist, quotations, but I love doing a little bit of everything. And that way also I feel like, and I know most artists like to stay with one area, but I can't do that. I just can't. I love, some people love my landscape. Some people like my florals, others like my abstracts. I like to do a little bit of everything. So what I did when I first started out is I took a lot of these videos. I just watched videos over and over. And then I took a couple classes. And then I got to this point. I did a class with Vincent Desiderio. Do you guys know him?
No, we don't. I don't.
Oh gosh, no. That really showed me that I knew nothing. I was just like, okay, and I started looking at my pieces and seeing that I didn't know anything. And I went into an art school, and it wasn't for me. After a couple months, it just was not for me. And I was kind of lost, but I just kept doing more and more classes. And that, I started off with Bob Burridge. Do you guys know Bob Burridge? You guys, come on.
You know what? There are a lot of artists out there.
It's a big world.
It is a big world of art.
His specialty is like pears, and I can't tell you, I must have sold 30 pears. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, that's all I did for well, not that's all I did, but I did, a lot of pears in my career here. But yeah, so I started to do that, and then after all that, I there was an explosion at on Instagram, and so you can watch people and learn from them, and then you see that your art isn't as good as it could be. So then you're trying different things, and that's what happened. I just try everything. I don't have a problem messing up. I don't get stuck in my I feel like I said before, this is a gift. I don't get frustrated in my studio. Never. I never not have something I want to paint. If I don't know what I'm going to paint, which is 80% of the time, I walk into my room and I feel like that's who I am.
Well, that's your explorative mind. That's your nature. Clearly, I mean, you reach out by listening and watching. What's going on. Meryl Streep spoke to you in a Carrie Fisher quotation. And just to you. And I mean, I think that's really an important part of it, that we can all say, well, she was speaking in sort of general terms, but really, if it did something for you and motivate you to do something, then she spoke directly to you. This is how life works.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think I think because you are you're intuitive, and that's, or not intuitive. You are, what's the word I'm trying to think of? You are inquisitive.
That too. Yes.
Yeah, and so that inquisitive mind is what drives, 90% of what we do. There's nothing worse, and I think we'd all agree here that there's nothing worse than painting the same painting over and over. I've always said, I can paint a Drew Harris painting better than anyone, but, do I need to? Do I need to keep doing that? So, flipping through in different styles and learning things and making mistakes, it's really important to the career. I think that this is one of the reasons that we now know you through the Artist Next Level, because there are, with each training that we do for ourselves, or watching a video or experimenting with something, there's always an opportunity to get better, to change, to do something new. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that this is why the program that we're all engaged in is successful. But I also think it's partially for the artist. If we stop experimenting, then we stop, passionately doing what we do.
That's right.
Stop growing. Yeah. And that's one of the things I love about the world in which we live in today, right? I mean, with all the things that are going wrong, but there's a lot of things going right too. This ability that any one of us can learn anything in the fingerprints of our hands. Like if I need to know how to switch the brakes in my car, I can look at somebody doing it, right? If I want to learn a specific technique in my painting, I can watch somebody doing it. If I need to learn about marketing, or we have this now, everything at our fingertips.
Wonderful
that makes makes our careers flourish. This idea of the self-taught artist is, I think, in a way less and less real, because I think we are all now teaching each other, by showing up in social media, and
I
we
can't
are all
believe you
learning
just,
from each other.
exactly right. I think that's really, because I feel like I was a self-taught artist, but I don't feel that any longer.
You're taking steps to learn, and you're watching others. You're taking classes. You're taking and learning and asking, and that is
And
what learning is
Yeah.
about. You can go, because here's the thing: you can go to an art school, pay $200,000, and not learn a thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't
Oh,
I
actually
did.
do it. If you don't actually do it, right? So
yeah.
yeah, I had friends who only showed up to the critiques, and they did something they slapped in 10 minutes before the class, and that's it. Ask me, they're making art today. No, they're not, right? But they pay the same tuition as I did. So it's the action, right? Taking
Yes.
the action and
True.
going in and testing and playing and pulling your head out when it doesn't work and trying to figure out why. And so with this mindset, I want to ask you, Kathleen, how did you find the art next level? How did you find us? Because I don't think I have asked you that before.
Yeah.
in your search, in your journey as an artist.
So I was at this point where my daughter, like I said, well, no, I didn't tell you this, but she was going off in November. She was taking off overseas and traveling for a year. And once again, here's Mama going, oh, great. Now what am I supposed to do? So it's like, I've got to get so busy next year, so my year goes fast. Okay.
I love it.
And so I had lunch with a friend, and she told me, like I of course did a couple juried shows, but I knew I had to do juried shows. I knew I wanted to get into a solo. I wanted a solo show. I wanted to make sure, I was so busy. So talked to my girlfriend. She told me a couple places that I could go. I went home and I joined all these art leagues.
Okay.
And so that was like the start. And then I decided that I was like, okay, now what do I do next? And then I was like, I need help in the business part. I need community.
There's your key right there.
I was missing that, 8, 10, 12 hours, in the studio. So what I did is I thought, wait a second, I have to back up. And I have to start interviewing or looking at different marketing companies. And there were a couple that interviewed me, and I think one tossed me out. And excuse me, she asked me how much money I made in a year. And I was like, it's none of your business. I mean, really? It's like, well, why do I have to tell you that? I don't talk to anybody about that. But anyway, so I came upon you, Sergio, and
Do you remember what it was? Do you remember what segment it was? Was it something, an Instagram thing, or was it a video?
His morning talks.
Breakfast with Sergio.
There's the link, guys, right there.
Yeah. So what had happened was, at first, Sergio, this is nothing against, but I couldn't understand you at first.
Yeah, it's okay.
And so what happened is I said, I don't know. I like his smile. I really like this guy. I'm going to start watching. I'm going to start watching him.
And you said that breakfast looks good.
Yes, that's right. They always look good.
But he never eats it on the show.
Yeah, that's right. And
plastic.
Like how you start to hear someone with an accent, and once you start hanging around with them more, you don't hear the accent anymore.
Exactly.
And so I knew that. So I thought, I'm going to just keep listening to him. And if I like what I hear, I'm going to join.
Wonderful.
And so it took me a few months because I was getting all this other stuff ready.
Yeah.
And I joined in March and looked over everything. And then I said, okay, I need to have a one-on-one. I need to have a one-on-one with Sergio. I
need to have breakfast with Sergio.
Yeah, I need to have breakfast with Sergio. So anyway, what happened is the next day, I wrote to you, and then I think it was a week later, there we
Yeah.
were. And I was really not lost like I was years ago. I was just
Mhm.
like, where do I go from here? What do I do?
How do you expand?
How do
Yeah.
I expand?
Mhm.
Because I was doing a little bit of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I needed a professional to say, you need to do a body of work. And
Mhm.
I needed someone to be excited about a body of work. And Sergio at that time was talking about doing the body of work also,
Challenge.
the
Mhm.
challenge.
That's
And
right.
so it was perfect timing for me. We did our one on one.
Mhm.
I felt like, well, I wrote to you. I felt like you believed in me. I
Mhm.
felt like I can do this. I can do this with no problem.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And you did it, and that's
Wonderful.
the what's the
and
wonderful
I
thing,
did
you know. You did it. You have take us a little bit on a bit of a journey. What has happened in your career this year in 2023?
it. Okay. So I've been in 6 juried shows.
Mhm.
I have had 7 commissions.
Mhm.
I
Mm.
have had 3 solo shows,
Mhm.
and one solo show is more of a featured artist show.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, but the other 2 were pretty big.
Mhm.
And at least to me, they were. And this
Yeah,
last one was really big because I decided to do a real body of work. And I had watched all of the videos, Sergio's videos, and regarding it. Did I follow everything? No, because I'm real stubborn and I do things my way.
okay.
But I get the gist of things and then I just kind of do
Mhm.
it myself.
Yeah.
And
That's
I,
really the whole intention of the program is that, there's you likely won't follow everything, but there are going to be most that one important thing is there, or the many important things you can just pick and choose. It's a menuized kind of
oh,
thing. And
Mhm.
I,
so it for your purpose, if you were to try to implement everything all at one time, you'd be overwhelmed and you wouldn't be doing any work.
right, right.
So I think that's the beauty of this program.
The
And
beauty of the program also is that that's all I have to tell my friends. And I've recommended several people to the program, and they join like this because I just tell them, you get this, 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 that, like there's a little bit of everything,
yeah,
Yeah.
everything. And it's spelled out ABCDE, it's perfect. You can understand it. And I have taken 3, 4 other marketing programs from other
Mhm.
well-known artists that do this.
Mhm.
None of them have the type of program that you have, where you can just go in and have a heyday.
It's like a buffet. Go in the buffet
Yeah,
when you're hungry.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So it's a really great thing. And like I said, you're one-on-one with me. I knew when at first I was kind of getting nervous. Gosh,
Mhm.
how many paintings am I going to have to paint? How do I do this? You know, but after I got off the phone with you, Sergio, I swear to
Mhm.
God, I called my friends one
Mhm.
by one and I was going, man, he believes in me. He really believes in me. Authentic, like
Mhm.
you. And I don't know. I was just like, I was never nervous.
No, no, we had a great conversation. I remember it, and you don't know this too because you were on the other side, but I finished that call, and I went tell Jaina, I had a great conversation with Kathleen. I just met
Oh,
an artist today who really motivated me as well, and I think Drew
oh,
can attest to this. As we do the coaching sessions, the artists who are on the other side of the screen make us better, make us more excited to
of
walk in our
course,
studio to it's a we sometimes don't have the opportunity to share these things, but I was very excited to have met you, and your story fascinated me because I love
Oh,
stories like this.
yeah.
And and
Thanks.
so it works both ways, in those
Yeah, sure
cases.
does. Yeah.
Well, and I think also it's sort of like when I was asking all these questions about the podcast. What are you going to ask me? What are you going to, and you were just like,
Yeah,
"Hey, let's just
chill.
talk. Let's just chat. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it." And that's what I felt like we were doing in that
Yes.
one-on-one. And I didn't feel, even though, you're my you're the one that I'm looking, my mentor, you're the one that I'm
Hmm.
looking at to help me. I didn't feel like you felt like you were you know,
Hmm.
better than me or
Hmm.
that you superior,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
never felt that. I felt like you were my friend. You believed in me. I can do this. And you
Hmm.
were there to help me in anything, in any part that I was going to have a problem with. And that,
Hmm.
oh my God, that was like so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But Catherine,
Wonderful.
yeah, that's really great. And both Drew and I, and we can speak also from others too on our team. When we see artists like you in our program, succeed and do the work, and then go out and share it with others. That's really exciting, because then it
Yeah, it is.
demonstrates that we are a community. It's not that okay, here are the teachers and everybody else is below. No, we all work in our studios with the same feelings. What am I going to make today? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. You could be making art for 30 years and you still some have days in which like, I don't know if that's working.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
is a mutual feeling. And that
Yeah.
refreshes all of us. If you're new, you say, oh, well,
It's
that
that
person has
common
been making,
thread, that
yeah, yeah,
common thread
exactly.
between us all.
When I
Yeah.
met
Very
when I
much.
met Drew, when I first saw his work 20 years ago or so, when I was a student, I see him with a lot of respect because he was, without him knowing, in his paintings, he mentored me because, I admired his work and his application of paint and so on. I have learned a lot from him, from chatting, from conversations,
Yeah.
from learning what he struggles with. I learned too, right? And I think
Yes.
that's the beautiful thing about, when we allow ourselves as artists to open up, to be human, to say, you may be on the other side of the desk, but we are all artists and we're all learning and we're
Each
all
of us
going through
are
this together.
we're conduits really to
Yeah.
Right.
others and individuals
Right.
as a group and as here in this case, I agree. As you are talking, as both of you are talking, I'm starting to think I do have that project that's sitting on the table right now, and now I have some ideas. So when I finish this call,
Yeah. Yeah.
you guys go to bed,
Yeah.
and
And then
I
you're
go to
on.
work. So
Yeah.
it's this is the kind of thing that we're very proud of with these sessions, the
Yep.
recordings, I found Sergio in exactly the same way. I do what I was unsure. I wasn't really a video guy. I wasn't watching a lot of YouTube and a how-to kind of thing, but I needed a how-to. I had lost my how-to in
Mhm.
2019, and I just happened to come across Sergio's video. It was like there's an interesting guy, and it said artist next level, and I thought, okay, I'll give this guy a try. And like you, I thought, here's this Spanish kind of sounding guy, uh, and I was like, okay, well, he's kind of cool, and I like his breakfast, and but I love his energy, and
Yes.
that was all I needed.
Yeah.
And I listened to that one episode, and I emailed him, and look where we are today. So that
Unbelievable.
energy has fed me for now since 2019, December 4th, 2019. I remember it specifically. So that kind of energy can continue a lifetime if you
Yeah.
if you allow it and you are open to it. And it's like faith again. I go
Yep.
back to
Hmm.
this faith thing.
Yeah.
There are times when you don't have faith, and you don't. There are
Hmm.
many years in my life I didn't at all have faith in myself or in others or in anything, spiritual or otherwise. But we find it back again, and we have
Hmm.
to, if we're not a someone that follows a particular religion or whichever.
Right. Right.
There's faith in capability, faith in ourselves, faith in our materials, faith in those that we love around us. That there's going to be a support system, when we really need it. And this is, I had to have faith that this guy there was going to help me and help me get over that one little block that I had. And we are still talking about that block today, he and I.
Yeah.
So, it's an ongoing process, and I'm learning every day. So this is what we're trying to encourage with our next level members.
And guess what?
Yeah.
Community. This is one of the things.
It's all about
I
community.
didn't, when I lived in Chicago for 30 years, or the Northbrook area for 30 years. I didn't know people that were artists.
Yeah.
It's a completely different community now for me.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's been so wonderful because I have found a few people, that I can connect with, but I found someone that I could really connect with through your program.
Wonderful.
So
you see, and I think there's
Roz.
Right, there you go.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's wonderful. She's been at one of our WeVolve, the Chicago WeVolve program we put on.
Yeah.
But the community is really an important part, and I think I want to touch on this because when we lack community, and you, Kathleen, you were in Boulder, Colorado, I believe, and all of a sudden, your community, which was really focused around your daughter, she happens to leave for Oregon or something.
Yes.
And you are community-less, and you're not from there. You're a foreigner, essentially, within the own country. And we all face this. And I think there's sometimes that community doesn't support us or is open to us. So we have to go searching for it. And the one thing I think that this whole program that we offer, or that Sergio has offered, is the fact the overall emphasis on this is community, like you say. So it's a good thank you for pointing that out, because sometimes we forget that, but it is the core value of the artist.
I know it is, and I found my home. I found my home.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And you can come and go when you want to.
That's right. And I do. And I don't show my face because half the times I haven't even taken a shower yet in the morning when you talk.
Yeah, we're too early. Yeah, we have artists who are doing their makeup while we're doing the thing, and that's totally fine. It's a family. I think of it like when somebody's using the mirror and everybody's waiting. It's fine.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Kathleen. You have just come off this successful exhibition. You made mention of it. You've done your social media around it. What did you learn from that, and where are you taking it? What are you going to do next? What's your big plan?
Well, what I learned from it, is that I have a really, I feel like I have a really high sense of self-efficacy.
Okay, that's good.
So that in itself, I think, is what pushes me along. But what I learned is that it's not as hard as we put it on ourselves to be.
Sure.
I did 39 paintings in 2 months, two and a half months.
I like that.
And it was like, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm going to work, and I divided 39 into how many days I had left, and I just said I'm going to do this. What I learned from that is that anything I put my mind to, I can accomplish.
You can do. Yeah, well, there's our takeaway today. That's Yeah, and you know the what you plan on doing in the future, in the near future, or the far future.
Well,
That one learning experience there with doing the show
Will,
will again it just rolls into the next thing.
right.
Now you've already learned that. Now you're going to learn something new on the next one.
And I'm
Uh,
excited.
yes, indeed. And I mean, you know, we have to have faith that we can, you know, that there is
Yeah.
going to be a next show,
Yeah.
and that comes with just the faith in knowing we
Knowing.
have to do this. We have to do the marketing. We have to do the proposals, um, and we have to do the work. And we have faith in
Yeah.
ourselves to do all of this.
And not be afraid to do
Yeah,
the work.
that's true.
You know, I think
Yeah.
like I think we get so stressed out. We stress ourselves out, I think. Overstress ourselves out. At least,
You think?
yeah. You know, and I just like I really feel though. I feel because this was a gift for me that I'm not allowed to feel that. I really feel like I have to take this and treat it as this very special gift. And that's what I do.
Mhm.
Well, it's ultimately your own. That's your own. That's what you own. That feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take that feeling, keep it within yourself,
Yeah.
and use it to propel you forward, and then you share your success with
Always.
others. Yeah,
Always.
and you share your knowledge. That's another thing.
Always.
We
I
have to give.
mentor
We
I
have to
mentor
learn.
7
Yeah.
people for I
Yeah.
don't charge them because I feel like we have to give. I'm not in it for the money, right? You know, I'm not doing this right now, mentoring, you know, to make any money, but I'm doing this because when I started out, I had no one. I had
Yeah.
no one.
Yeah.
And I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But that's a good, you know, this is a good thing. And you know, again, I sort of say mentoring is always good. I'm a big believer in mentoring, as is Sergio. Of course, this is why he does what he's doing.
Yeah.
He realized, you know, he turned down a very lucrative, you know, position at a university to take the chance to do something where it's helping a community. And this is why he and I are so aligned in the way we think. I've always been based on community. Hence why I'm not the millionaire I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
About people like you, about Sergio. You know, we all support one another. We're all the support for each other. And if we don't have that, then no amount of money is going to
Yeah.
to help you.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you know, how lucky are we to have a career that we are passionate about? I mean, truly, I just make your whole body go fuzzy. I mean, a true passion. We are so lucky.
Yeah.
Sergio,
Yeah.
you got to take that section right there and just repeat it over.
The
and
artist
over
on a
and over.
mission.
That's an artist on a
right.
mission.
Artist on a
Artist on a
mission.
mission.
That's
That's
right.
what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is called passion, and I'm really,
Yeah.
it's really lovely to see, because there are some of us that are nervous to talk about our passions, and I think you have got 3 people here right now on the screen. This is our main emphasis, is to talk passionately about what we do.
Yeah. And as you go through your career, you'll find things that sometimes make your life easier, but it could be also a trap where it kind of makes you very comfortable. Therefore, you're not pushing yourself. You're not the passion becomes secondary because the comfort sets in. You know, in my case, happened when I was teaching. Right, I was teaching, as Drew said, you know, at the university level, and then, you know, well, you have a paycheck that comes every month, and you just gotta go show up to class, do the same thing, and teach the same things here, you know, over and over, semester after semester. You just change students, but you teach the same things. So, oh, this is easy, you know, I can do this until I retire. But at the same time, it became to me a trap because and there's nothing wrong against.
Nothing wrong. I
those
get it.
who,
Yeah.
you know,
You bet.
there are many people who do that very
We're
passionately. And
talking
I love
about
it.
you.
Yeah, in my case, I'm kind of like you, Kathleen. You said, I have to paint different things. I have to do different things. I could never
Yep.
do just the one thing. I could not just be one artist, or it could be so. I had to be the artist, the curator, and the mentor, right? And
Yeah.
the only way I could do that, I tried to do that once I had a full-time job, and I was doing the three things. I was curating and having the growing the gallery. I was then running to the university to teach, and then I was, studying the art next level and the podcast, and like came to a point where my wife was like, this is not working. It's just exhausting. It's
Yeah.
what for that? Yeah, it's nice to get that check, but my
But you're not as
passion.
effective as you could
Exactly.
be in any one area. Then.
Exactly. So that's when I said, you know what, we're gonna have to say goodbye to this and just follow the dream, right? And follow the
Yeah.
passion.
Beautiful.
You
And
bet.
that's what we've been doing. Yeah, we've been doing. And that's exciting. And I
Wonderful.
think, it comes down to, like what you say, waking up in the morning and realizing that what you're doing is what you love. And there are days in which, well, you got to do the taxes. Well, that's not what I love to do, but it's part of the, this thing, that this career that we have created, which has many parts. For some people, maybe the marketing or the sales. So, everybody has like weaknesses in our
Business.
the
I
business.
I
Exactly.
am the business side. I just don't want any part. I will avoid, avoid, avoid. Oh
But
my
you have been
God.
doing great because you have been selling really well. So that's
Yeah,
a
but
good thing.
that doesn't mean it's like the bookkeeping and everything. I'm like so far, no inventory. My inventory is so far behind. It's like, oh,
Yeah. Well, Catherine, let me ask you one question for
yeah.
you. When somebody comes and purchases your art at a show, or from your studio, whatever, and they take it home, what does that feel for you? That somebody wants to live with something that you created in your studio that's so personal to you.
You just got done saying it. That someone wants something that I made.
Hmm.
It's an it's an absolute honor. It's an
Yeah.
honor that someone will say, I want to live with this for 10 years, 15 years. They have to love it. We may not love it as much as they do, but they are so moved by it. And that's the beauty of our art. It moves people differently. We may do it, for instance, I may be painting and be painting about a relationship I had in the past, and someone looks at the piece of art that I just got done doing, and they're saying that reminds me when I was a little kid in my backyard, and I see this, that, it's like
It's the
cool.
attachment.
It's exactly. So, what does it feel like? There is nothing better that when
Hmm.
someone says, "Is that available?"
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really
I
good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know how to even
it's
follow
just
that one because it's so good. it,
yeah.
it it is, hard to imagine for us as artists when something we give all our love or passion or emotion, or the baggage of this journey of life, and we put it into this thing, canvas or photography or sculpture, whatever it is, and somebody says, I want to live with that. It's like they want to live with a piece of us, It's weird.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
strange.
I know,
Well,
because
I
we
have to tell you
know
something.
that's
Yeah.
us
Yesterday,
in there. That's us. And that's
Well,
not being, like I just, that's us in there.
mhm. Well, Drew sold his tabletop as a painting. Somebody wanted that as a painting.
and I met the partner, the wife of the man that bought the painting, that bought the table. And she said to Cher at a talk we went to on Saturday, and she said to Cher, "Oh my God, we just love this piece because it signifies so many years of work
Oh,
in one
Isn't that
artist's life."
crazy?
And it was just a tabletop.
yes.
So,
Yes.
but interestingly enough, we say, when people buy our work, here's going back to Chicago days, doing my first show in Chicago in '99, I think it was. Somebody had purchased a work from that particular series or that show in '99. And just a few weeks ago, I received an email from
Oh.
someone that had that painting, that had been bequeathed the painting through an estate sale or through an estate thing. and they asked me how much it's worth. So I calculated roughly. I told them a very lengthy story about why I painted that painting. And I said, I do hope you enjoy it. And she said, no, actually, we don't like it. We want to sell it. And I thought, wow, you could have approached that in a different manner. But
Said
anyway,
that at the beginning, right? Yeah.
yeah. So our art is not always for everybody. And, it doesn't mean just because it's in family that everyone's going to like it. But the person that buys your work and takes it home and has it there. So think about it, 99 to 2023, we're looking at what, 24 years? So that painting lived with someone that really enjoyed it for 24 years. And now someone doesn't enjoy it. But those are and hopefully we'll find somebody that will enjoy it. And if they put it on the market, fine. Someone will make some money off it and someone will be happy. So, but yeah, it can happen. Art isn't for everybody. But that's the ebb and flow of our career, isn't it? Yeah. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
So my friends, believe it or not, we are almost at the hour. And that means as we get towards the end of the show, we're not there yet, but almost. Kathleen, you have a chance to ask us anything you want. So you have the two of us here. If there's one thing you would like to ask us, what would you like us to answer? Now we switch roles.
Okay.
So while you think about that, in the meantime, I'll invite our friends. If you're not following our podcast just yet, make sure you guys to subscribe. You'll find more conversations just like this wonderful one with Kathleen, with other guests that we have in the show. Or sometimes it's just Drew and I, going into a topic and really dissecting it for an hour. And if you would like to line up also a coaching call with any of our coaches, we have Dr. Ana Gomez, who works with mindset wellness, Drew Harris, who works with studio practice, anything that you're going through in your studio, and myself, where I focus on career, business, and all that. Just go to theartistnextlevel.com, click on the one-on-ones, and you can easily and really quickly line up a coaching call with us. So, Kathleen, what's the question?
Okay, Drew, you first.
Okay.
So I see a lot of pictures with you next to large paintings, and
Yes.
I have this thing
About large paintings, yes.
Yes, large paintings, and I want to know, how does it feel? Really feel when you're painting? What you're like? How large are your paintings? They're like 9. What are they?
Oh, they've ranged from 40 feet to 6 feet by 8 feet is my average size. So I like that size.
I want to know, like when you stand in front of a mountain and and you feel so tiny, but that you can make a difference in the world, even though that mountain is so huge. So
sometimes it's like moving one. There's your answer right there.
Yes.
A scale is wonderful if you could achieve it. And, that's the challenge. And that's the challenge that I put to myself, is that given the opportunity to work something of any scale, large, very large, I think, at first it's daunting because, you can envision what you want on the painting, but the process takes a while to actually get the paint down and get it the way you want it to flow. Now, but
think about how
the
much
satisfaction,
paint you have to use. Oh my God.
the satisfaction. Well, you'd be surprised how little I have in my painting studio. I don't use a big palette. I don't use a lot of paint. Mine are just layers, thin layers. However, once I finish something of that scale, the challenge is done. And the reward has been given if I achieve what I need to do. So there is always hard work. It's like doing taxes. You got to find the receipts and you got to calculate them all, and then you got to submit it. And once you submit it and it says accepted, you go, done.
Yeah.
But it's the process that you just don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and after years and years of doing what I do, it's easy. It's easier. It's easier. But there are days that you don't want to do this, but you have to. You might
Right.
get a deadline or whichever. But I encourage scale, scale, scale. That's I love.
It
Big fan.
teaches you something, when you
Yes,
change
it
your
does.
scale,
Yeah.
either from large to small or small to large. You learn how space changes your work and your gesture as an artist. It's a different
Absolutely.
thing to do this versus
But it's
like
a
move
big.
your arm, move your body, move your legs,
Yeah.
like a dance.
I know
So
I'm
Yeah.
creeping into larger and larger paintings, and
nice.
I'm really loving it.
Oh, you
But it's
will. You will. Your work suits it, and I always encourage it because it allows for greater expression.
got to go to Home
So,
Depot
you got
get
a
some.
question for this guy?
Yes, I do.
All
Sergio,
right.
if you lived in the perfect world and everything in your life was absolutely perfect,
I don't think I would like to live there.
what
But go
exactly,
on.
what exactly would you be doing
In terms of like
in
work
in
or
work? In work, of course, no, just like what exactly?
that's a good question.
Guess
I'll
you're
tell
doing
you
it
like
already.
yeah, well, I'll tell you like when I was little, I'm still fascinated with aviation. I wanted to be a pilot. And even some years ago I wanted to go, even if, as I was doing now, I wanted to go to a flight school, but I have a problem with my inner ear, which that has prevented me to doing so. So hopefully maybe one day I can still do some of that, but I've always had that dream with aviation. I love to watch aviation videos like on my feed on Instagram. They're like airplanes landing on the tarmac,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that kind of stuff. I don't usually share that. Drew knows it, but I don't share that with most people because it's boring to them. But
Well, it's not boring, but everybody thinks we're just artists.
yeah, no, exactly, and that's why I love the question. 'Cause, I had always a fascination with that. I also love architecture. Since I was a little kid, before I started like drawing pictures, I drew buildings. That's all I did. When I was like in my probably third grade, fourth grade, I would draw the buildings that I would see, and then I would put a where most kids draw where the building starts at the bottom.
Yeah.
I would draw the floors underneath and the structures, or where the pillars will go,
Oh,
and
that's really
how
cool.
the building would actually stand, right? So I
That's
would
really
play
cool.
with that, and then I would make towers, and I would, so I had a fascination with architecture, but um, I was never really good with math, so that kind of like that's put that on the wayside.
Yeah, I
I
understand
There,
that.
your two careers, your airline pilot and your architecture,
and an artist, yeah,
gone.
yeah. So, but I love the question of if it was a perfect world, I don't think I would be making art, and I'll tell you why. Because my art is derived from an imperfect world. My art is about
Yeah, it's true.
the cycles of life, the spiritual awareness throughout those cycles, and my work comes from the struggle of being human. So I think if the world was perfect, I would probably not be an artist.
Good one, man.
That's all I can say.
That's all I
And that's
can
a
say.
great question, Kathleen. That's a great question. I love it. I love it. And well, my friends, we have to let our friends go too and have a continue on with the day. It has been such a pleasure chatting with both of you, Kathleen. Thank you for, shining our show today. It wouldn't have been,
Yeah.
this way if you were not here. Really, you capture our imagination or thoughts or ideas. Drew and I will always come to a interview like, okay, what are we gonna start with? It was so easy to talk to you. We could have been doing this for 2 hours. So thank
Tell
you.
us how to find you on
Mhm.
Instagram or
Well,
your social
I
media.
don't do well on Instagram, and I don't really. I'm a Facebook girl, and I do
Perfect.
have a Facebook page, Kathleen Heitmann Art, and then my Instagram is same thing, Kathleen Heitmann Art,
Mhm.
and
You have
then
There
a
you go.
website?
and well, I have a website, and I'm just starting to updated again. And so that's Kathleen or www.kathleenheitmann.art.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
And we will put the links at the bottom of the description of this video for our friends.
Oh,
Please do check
thank
it out.
you.
And do us a big favor. If this podcast interview inspire you in any way, my friend, make sure that you let us know. Make sure you connect with Kathleen. Let her know that you listen to this podcast. We will always enjoy listening as well. So, Kathleen.
And I'll ask one last question. You are
Yeah, go ahead.
located where today?
Pardon me?
Where are you located today?
You mean like what?
Where do you live today?
Oh, in the Chicagoland area.
Okay, there you go. That's all we need to know. So if people are interested in finding you and they're in that Chicago area or traveling too, then this is how they can get you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we want to wish you greater success, Kathleen. You have had really amazing things happening this year. We know that next year is going to be even bigger, better as you grow and mature as an artist. And keep up the same spirit. Don't let things get on the way of, the artist's life has to be this or that, has to look like this or that. Continue your own path, your own vision, your own spiritual awareness through your journey, and keep it going, keep inspiring us. And also to all the collectors that connect and collect your work as well, make sure that you keep telling them that you're an artist on a mission, because you are.
I am an artist on a mission.
And with this, my friends, we want to thank you for listening. Please give us a review on this podcast as well. We will always love to hear from you, and we will see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.